The Shepnaz Podcast begins now.
Welcome to the Shepnaz Podcast. I'm Joe, and I'm your host today for
Worship Wednesday.
Yes, it is.
Haha.
Whoa.
Hey.
Hey.
I was expecting a tally-ho tie.
Hey, no tally-ho today.
Happy tapioca.
Happy tapioca to you too.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Love
You're
it.
welcome.
Good times.
It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
Good
We're
day
here.
for tapioca.
It's great. It's my favorite day for tapioca.
You didn't do the button.
Which button?
The button.
The button. The Worship Wednesday?
Wednesday. Hey,
You missed it already.
you did hit the button.
I did hit the button.
You hit the button.
Did you really?
You want to
Yeah.
hear it again?
Worship Wednesday.
I think I just threw you off so bad without my obnoxious greeting.
Man, I'm out of it.
Wow.
It's these contacts, man. Can't see nothing.
Ever since I switched contacts, I can't hear anything.
Nothing. I knew this was a bad idea to go to contacts. Oh, wowzers.
Can you read this chart? What? I couldn't hear you.
You sure you went to an eye doctor?
Oh, man.
Anywho,
Well, welcome.
For those who listen to audio, Noah's wearing contacts today.
Yeah.
It's a new experience for him.
yeah. 2 days ago, I made the switch. Feeling very insecure. So,
Gotta really focus on your eyebrows now.
yeah, I did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They look great.
Anywho, what are we talking about today, Zach?
All right. So bring us in, Pastor Zach. I think we actually had a topic we were going to talk about.
do. Yeah, with a title. Today's episode is titled Cool or Called? Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, wait.
Oh, is there a button for it?
If this is
there
day
a
for
button?
buttons.
Oh, you had it exactly.
Perfect button. Yeah. Yeah. So, what in the world does that mean? I don't know. I'm just kidding. So what I want to talk about today.
Called or cool?
Yeah. And specifically in the idea of being a worship pastor or worship ministry in general. Here's why I say this. Because unfortunately, I think it is a common thing in the American church today that there are a lot of worship pastors out there and worship people and just people on worship teams that are in their position, not because they are called to do it, but because they have the perception of cool. Yeah. So I want to be...
Who's an example of that?
I was just getting ready to say, I'm not going to say names. But yeah, I think it's a thing, right? Because the way that the American church has created worship as an industry, right? There's this like kind of stigma or stereotype that comes with it. You know, it's the hip guy. Like I've heard so many people say, like you can go on somebody's church website and just look at pictures of the staff and know which one's the worship pastor. And let's be honest, I've gotten that quite a bit because people are like, oh yeah, you got the tight pants and the slick back hair and the tattoos and the nose ring. Like you look like a worship pastor, right? But here's the reality. There is a significant and very important difference on what it means to be called and what it means to be cool. And I definitely want to highlight a story that we've talked about a lot on this podcast, but I think it's a really good scripture reference to what we're talking about in everybody's most popular biblical worshiper, old David. Mm-hmm. We love David, and we've talked about this specific passage quite a bit recently, actually. But where David is dancing before the Lord, the Ark of the Covenant is coming home, and his wife literally calls him out like, what are you doing? Like, you look like a fool out there. And there's a lot of times where I know I've received some feedback in my day of like, hey, I noticed that thing you were doing on the platform or whatever. For an example of my own personal life, you know, back in my more youthful days when I was a little bit more limber and quite a few pounds ago, I was definitely more of a charismatic worship leader. I definitely did a lot of jumping and dancing. And we, pretty early on when we came to Shepherd, a good family that we're friends with from Grove City came to visit. And they have one of their youngest sons came up to me at the end of service, and he literally looks at me, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, how's it going? Long time no see." And he's like, no conversation happened. He just kind of kept looking at me with this like curious face, and he goes, "You don't jump around anymore like you used to." It was like a thing that he noticed. Like, you used to jump a lot.
You look a lot like the guy that did that. But
You're not him. You can't be.
Yeah,
Your feet were on the ground the whole time. There's no way. But there's this kind of perception of like, to be a worship leader, there's like a coolness to it. And unfortunately, I feel like there's a lot of people that feel, no, how do I want to say this? Not that they feel called, right? That they're just like, this is who I am. Like, I'm the hip young musician. And so like, I have to be on the worship band in church. And honestly, I've seen a lot of like, you see this a lot in like smaller churches and stuff where it's like, oh, you play guitar? Like, oh, that's cool. Like, you should be on our worship team. Or, oh, I heard you play cover songs in your room. Like, your mom tells me you got a really good voice. That's cool. You should be our worship leader because we don't have one. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but there's a huge difference of like what it looks like to be a called worship leader versus just a cool one. So jumping back to the story of David, worshiping God is not always cool in the eyes of the world. Mm-hmm. And so there's multiple different sides to that, but this specific one with David, you know, he's so joyful that the Ark of the Covenant is coming home, and that he's dancing, he's going nuts, like he's just worshiping with everything he's got, to the point where people are noticing, and his wife calls him out, like, "What are you doing? Like that? You look like an idiot. You look like a fool. Like you should check yourself, because your status and your title, like you can't be acting like that. Like you have a reputation to maintain." And you doing this dancing before the Lord thing, like that doesn't look right. And a lot of times in our world, and you know, just for me, like if somebody comes up and tells me like, "Yo, dude, you looked stupid this morning," like doing what you do, you look stupid, that would hit me. You know,
you're like, "Kristen, that wasn't very nice to say."
Come on, babe, not cool. But what I love about what David does is not only he doesn't change his perspective, but he defends it. He's like, "Oh, you think that's crazy? Like, I can get crazy. Because listen, I'm not trying to impress you. Like, I'm not doing this to look cool. Like, I'm not doing this because I want people to notice. I'm just so excited about worshiping and celebrating what is happening in this moment that I can't help but do it. It's not about you. I don't care what it looks like. It's not about being cool, but I'm called to worship the Lord in this moment. And no matter what the world thinks of me, like, I'm going to do it no matter what."
And another story that makes me think too is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that worship is not what happens when worship takes you to a place of death, like to where we're kind of just so sheltered, honestly, living where we live and having the freedoms we have, that it is a lot of consumer kind of, you know, Christianity, that you can just come in and you can worship and then you can go home and not threatened. There's no fear. There's no eagerness sometimes to worship. And I think so sometimes when you run off that, instead of worshiping strictly because he's worthy of it, even though a king is really telling, "Hey, I'm going to kill you if you keep doing this," and that posture of worship, that I think we're all called to worship. Now, worship ministry and worship leading is a little different, because you're leading people into that presence of God, and if you don't know how to go to the presence of God, then you don't know how to lead people there. Just like we say sometimes, you can't lead people to a place you're not going. I think that's the difference between called and cool, is that, and it truly, a lot of people can get up there and fake that, but it's that willingness. And talking with my stepdad about end time stuff and like the mark of the beast, and Jesus says in Matthew, you know, there's going to come a time when a lot of people are going to fall away because it's going to get hard. Like they will kill you because they killed me. And that's when you'll know who's called and who's not called, is when that happens and it gets hard and it gets illegal and it gets something that's not free. I think that's when that difference comes in for sure.
Yeah. And we've talked a little bit about this, I think, over the length of this podcast, but you know, when you really dig into the meat of what it means to be a worship pastor, right? To be called into this ministry, like there's a lot of not cool stuff that comes with it.
Sure.
You know, the exhaustion, like there's a level of exhaustion that comes with it. There's a lot of time commitment with it. And especially in a leadership role, there's a lot of times where you have to deal with the ugly side of people. That is really hard. And I think that makes or breaks a lot of worship pastors out there. I saw this, I have it saved on my phone somewhere. But the amount of pressure that a worship pastor gets through feedback of people in the congregation or on staff of like, you know, oh, well, you did okay this morning, but this was a little too loud, or that's not really how this song goes. Like you switched it up and didn't make sense, or you messed up this part, or you're not playing the old stuff. You're not playing the new stuff. You're not, you know, there's all this feedback that constantly comes when you are on a, you know, a public platform where you are doing what God has called you to do. And I think that's important because a lot of times when we do what God calls us to do, the world is not going to like that.
Yeah.
They're going to look at what God is calling you to do as, oh, that made me uncomfortable. That put me out of my comfort zone, and I just want to be comfortable. You know, it's something we deal with in church as worship pastors a ton. I mean, the number one feedback I get is, you know, song style and song choice, and we didn't do enough of the old stuff. Or even more recently, I've gotten like, we're not doing enough new stuff. Like we're not introducing enough new songs. And it's like trying to find this balance. But at the end of the day, like the reality is no matter what decision we make, there's always going to be people that don't think it's cool, no matter what we do.
Right.
Whether that's playing all old stuff or playing only new stuff, or even trying to do what we're doing and finding the in-between. You're never going to make people happy. Like everybody's not going to be happy, right? But what I have recognized is that when you eliminate the opinions of how cool people think you are in what you're doing, because we've talked about this, there's been times where I really cared what people thought about my worship leading and about the song choices and about that. And that put me in an unhealthy place spiritually. But when I stopped caring so much about the opinions of pleasing people and just focused on, okay, God, what do you have for your church this week? What do you want us to do? I've actually gotten a lot less negative feedback, even though I'm doing less of what people want. Because I'm just doing what the Lord wants, and He's honoring that. And I think when you are just making your focus on, okay, God, I don't really care what people think about me. Like, because it's not about me. Like what we do, it's not about us on that platform. Mm-hmm. Like you have to eliminate self when you're leading people, because you're going to screw up. Oh my gosh. When this airs 2 Sundays ago, I lost my voice in the middle of second service, and I sounded the worst I have sounded leading worship in a very long time. To the point I had to stop and address it. Like it was,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think I used the words, I'm going to finish crowing this set or whatever. Like I didn't have it in me. But for me, that was a really cool moment. And one that maybe in my heart, it started out as kind of like, oh, I'm the awkward guy that has to like put a magnifying glass on the mess up that I just did to like help process it. But we were able to use that moment to kind of open up an invitation for the congregation to worship. And I felt like God was telling me in that moment to address the fact that it's like so often people come and it's like, all right, this is the part where Zach leads us in worship, and we're going to listen to Zach sing this song. And like in that moment, that wasn't an option. Like I literally couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And if I tried, it sounded terrible. It was distracting. And so I felt like God was telling me, like, this is a moment to highlight to the congregation, like, we're doing this together. Like in this moment, not only do I need you logistically to sing because I can't, but it's an invitation for all of us to just worship, because it's not about Zach's voice. It's not. It's about all of us lifting our voices and worshiping. And trust me, I did not look cool at all in that moment. There was nothing cool about it. But what happened because of that was a really powerful worship moment. It truly did invite everybody just like, oh yeah, like this isn't about one person leading us. This isn't about one person singing to us. Like this is all of us raising our voices together. And I think that was cool for the congregation and for our team. Because I said it in the mic and in the talk back of just like, guys, my voice is gone. Like, I can't hit these notes. And so, like, Will Ruark was on, and I was like, Will, you're the only other dude up here singing. Like, I need you to sing with me because I don't got it. And I think there was a lot of really cool, positive moments that came from that. And so on paper, there's nothing cool about it. I didn't feel cool. The moment didn't feel cool. It didn't look cool. But I know in that moment we were called to still lead people. Like, if I wasn't called and I was just worried about being cool, I probably would have just tried to shut the moment down and be like, all right, sorry guys, my voice is gone, so we're just doing one song today. But it's not about that. It's not about me. It's not about me singing a song. It's about we're leading people in women worship. So if I, Zach, cannot physically do that, how can we continue to worship? Because I'm not called to be cool. I'm not called to show off. I'm called to lead this congregation. And if I can't do that with my voice, how do I as a leader pivot and say, like, well, worship still happens whether my voice works or not. So what do we do?
Well, I do think it's important when you're serving, whether it's on the platform or whatever role that you're serving, you know, tech is probably one of those ministries that it's open season for criticism.
Right.
You know, everybody in the room will have an opinion on whether it's too loud, not loud enough. I couldn't hear this part thing that I wanted to hear, or, you know, whatever the case might be. And for those that have ever felt that way, I would just take this opportunity to remind everyone that we have a bunch of volunteers that are like, they're doing this because this is their way to serve.
Right.
And most of the time, and I'm only half kidding when I say this, but like if somebody comes up and says, hey, I think this was too loud or this wasn't loud. So can I get you scheduled to run sound? Because it sounds like you might have an aptitude for this. Because so many times we just think, and it's weird when it comes to, I mean, I know it just because I've been in it my whole life, but it's weird when it comes to things like tech and worship that just seems to be there's some unwritten rule in church, like, yeah, you can go up and just criticize the volunteers. That's fine. Right. Like, but you wouldn't, like, if you applied it in other areas of ministry, it would make absolutely no sense.
Right.
Like, you're walking in the door and the greeters greet you, like, you know, you could shake a little firmer. Like, there's better ways to shake people's hands. You wouldn't think to do that, you know, because you'd be like, they're just, you know, here greeting us, just trying to be nice. And I would just say that a lot of your tech and worship people are the same kind of people. They're just trying to do what they can do. But it is important to stay focused, as you said, on who am I doing this for? And ultimately, I'm doing it for the Lord. And when I say these criticisms, also understand that we get a lot of praise. And some of it's undeserved. Sometimes they're just happy accidents. And they're like, that was really cool what you did. Oh, yeah, sure, right?
That was on purpose, I promise.
Right? So, I mean, and I would say Shepherd, as a local church, is very, very supportive of their tech and worship ministries. So I don't want to make this sound like they're not, because they really are. But I know that there's other people that are hearing this too. And I just want you to give consideration of like the time and energy that people are spending to try to do the absolute best that they possibly can. But when it comes time for, I want to go back to one of the things that you said, and then we'll have to cut it off because
go to a meeting
or that time. But this kind of dovetails on what Pastor Kevin talked about a couple weeks ago, is that sometimes you had mentioned, like, you see that person that, oh, you're kind of handy with a guitar, you should probably get up and lead worship. It is a good thing to encourage people on to good works, you know, that is a good thing. But it also, we do have to be careful that we're not trying to substitute what our thoughts are for a person for what God's calling is.
Right.
And don't don't push somebody into a ministry that's not what God has for them.
Yep.
But there are plenty of roles to play. Maybe you are to be a player in the worship team. Maybe eventually God will call you to be a worship leader. I don't think it's all one or the other.
Right.
But just to say, well, you've got the skills, so you must be called. That is a dangerous slope to be on.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I'll give this one last example, then I'll stop, because it was kind of yucky. And there was a ministry that I was a part of at one phase of life, and the person who was leading this ministry noticed some people in the congregation who had a certain vibe about them, put it that way. They had a look, they had a vibe. Not necessarily talented or able to sing even. They just had the look that this leader was looking for. And so they invited them to come be a part of this ministry, to come on the platform, to be a part of this frontline team, though they couldn't even sing. They had zero call to lead anything in the form of worship, but they just had a vibe about them that this leader thought was good. And so they invited them to be on this stage. And I watched over time the dynamic of worship in that ministry completely crumble. It started out as something that was innocent, and it started out as something that was pure. But then when it started to grow, well, now we got an expectation to meet, because the rest of the world has all the cool kids. But and I'm just going to say this, and please hear my heart. But this person's view was you couldn't be overweight, you couldn't have a certain haircut, you couldn't have a certain way that you dressed. Even the lingo that you used had to be a certain vibe and way, and you had to talk cool, you had to act cool. And though it might on paper and in a picture look like what they wanted, like a cool album cover, the reality was it killed the ministry that it was doing, because none of these people were called to do that. And frankly, that leader was not called to have a cool ministry, because what this ministry was before that was really pure and really honest and really powerful. But when it changed, the dynamic changed from we want to be a spirit-led worshiping church to we want to look the part. It took away the spirit, because I honestly think God was like, I'm not going to honor that. And it did, and that ministry no longer exists, which is unfortunate. So remember, there's a difference between cool and calling. And I'm not saying you can't be cool. That's not what I'm saying. Do whatever you want. That's fine. But if your focus is on looking the part and not being the part that God has called you to be, then it's pointless. Don't do it. That's not what God called us to do.
Amen. Well, luckily, being cool is not a requirement, because that would exclude most of the people in this room.
Everybody but Noah.
Yeah. I mean, especially now without the glasses.
I know.
That was the last piece before he's fully
You're
cool.
officially cool.
Yep.
But it's more about our calling and keeping the Lord our focus. You can check out everything that's going on in the church by going to shepnaz.org. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For Pastor Zach and Noah, I'm Joe. Have a great day. This podcast is a production of the Shepherd Church of the Nazarene, Gahanna, Ohio. Email to podcast@shepnaz.org and let us know what you think.